IVM.
IVM Likes is an IVM production, and if you like our discussion about pop culture and movies, you should definitely check out our show Anything But Bollywood. Every week, Neha sits down to talk to some of India's best creators and filmmakers about art, cinema, their inspiration, and pretty much anything but Bollywood. So check it out, new episodes out every Monday. Hello and welcome to another episode of IVM Likes. We're on to episode number 68. My name is Abbas. I'm going to be your host for today, and with me in the studio I have two fellow producers with me who are busy with their phones because they clearly don't give a shit about this show. Hi fellow producers, say hi.
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 The fellow producers were Jaanam and Gaurav. On this episode, we're going to recommend stuff to you like we do every week. I'm going to be recommending a movie, Gaurav is recommending a TV show, and Jaanam is recommending an app. And in a discussion round, we'll be discussing the pros and cons of streaming services and how life would be if streaming services stopped tomorrow. Will it affect us? Will we go back to how we were? We'll find out in our second segment. So before that, let's start off with the recommendations. And let's start with you, Gaurav. What do you have to recommend?
So I'm recommending a TV show. It's called Ballers. You can find it on Hotstar. It's a TV show which is based around a retired NFL player. It's played by Dwayne Johnson. And it's about him working as a financial advisor for other young NFL players now who are there. So, I mean, I really love this show.
The synopsis sounds very boring. Why do you actually love it?
So, it's...
an ex-retired guy, recommending financial services, not very exciting.
So, first of all, let's talk about the kind of money that these guys actually get in the NFL league, all these young players, younger than you and near my age.
Wow, thanks.
They're earning double-digit millions,
Right.
And they don't really know how to handle their money. So you see a lot of extravagance on this show, if I may get a bit crass, you see strippers and drugs and booze and yacht
That's
parties.
That's not new for you, Gaurav.
And okay, sure. That kind of life is just super glamorous and everything. If anyone has watched Entourage,
right.
So it's a similar kind of lifestyle, except it's with the sport kind of jock kind of vibe to it.
But so, what are the story like what are the stakes in the stories? Are they, does an episode end on a cliffhanger? Does it follow one character throughout
there are
the season?
A lot of cliffhangers in it. And no, the main is of course Dwayne Johnson.
Right.
But it's because he lost all his money when he was younger. So that's why he doesn't want the same thing.
You mean the character that
the character lost all his money when he was younger.
Mm-hmm.
So he does not want the same issue to happen to all the younger players out there, and he's kind of a legend.
Uh-huh.
So, there are rivalries and things like that which there are in the sports world, but there are also his competitors who want to handle their money, and he doesn't think they know best. And it's basically convincing these people to join him and at the same time party with them, be their friend as well as their advisor. So, the main reason I love this show, other than the actual storyline, is the soundtrack they use. If you guys are into hip-hop, rap, and that kind of music, the soundtrack they use in this show is amazing. And you get into this show 1 or 2 episodes in. It's a comedy drama.
Right.
Yeah.
And if someone like me who doesn't know anything about the NFL will still be able to follow the show?
Personally, I never knew anything about the NFL. I didn't know the name of the teams or anything. So that is kind of secondary.
Okay.
But it's more of the character and how they develop over the seasons. Mm-hmm. They have good character development.
All right. So how many seasons are done till now?
So 3 seasons are done so far. And each episode is each season has about 10 episodes. Yes.
All right, cool. So Ballers is your recommendation.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's move on to Jaanam. Jaanam, what's your recommendation for us today?
So I'm recommending an app, a mobile app. It is called Curiosity.
All right.
So basically it's your one-stop destination to finding everything smart around the world.
Define smart.
I'm curious
so
now.
basically getting smart about your world, like what's happening around the world, and like there are different categories. It's kind of like a stumble upon,
Okay.
but more I would say
Smart.
more brainy. Yeah.
Okay.
So you can read stuff. There are short articles that you can read. You can watch videos, and it's all handpicked stuff. You can personalize what kind of topics you want to search. So, for example, like there are topics like there's just random facts that you're curious about, basically. So
is it similar or different to, let's say, a trivia website?
It's actually more different. Trivia is more short form content. This
Right.
is more in-depth articles. Like you can go and click on the longer form of the article and find
Okay.
out more information.
Okay, so what are some of the more interesting things that you found on this app?
So there are like articles like there's a museum of failure that is
Okay.
filled with forgotten.
Where do I sign up? Please tell me.
It's about forgotten product flops. Like Heinz had an easy squirt thing.
Basically, products that never went and didn't work.
Yeah, so all of them are displayed at the Museum of Failure.
Interesting.
Then there was one with 5 of the world's most bizarre airports.
Okay.
And natural disasters have changed the way scientists communicate.
Okay.
So yeah, they also have a podcast section in it where
Right.
you can listen to audios.
So they have their own podcast, or do they recommend?
Do they
Yeah,
have IVM on
it's
there?
called the Curiosity Podcast. So
Okay.
some of the
I
articles,
see.
like the one I just read out, which is the natural disasters have changed the way scientists communicate. That's actually a podcast format.
I see. Okay.
So,
it
yeah.
seems fun. So seems like one of those where once you log on, you can spend like a good time on the app.
Yeah.
And do they have videos?
You mean a
and
good
stuff?
amount of time?
Good amount of time.
Yeah. They have videos, they have audio, they have. If you want to read something, it's there, and it's pretty user friendly.
Okay.
It also loads fast. It's not. So today there was an article saying Stephen Hawking's last theory about the universe is good news. And it's the format, like you just keep scrolling up. It's similar to InShots,
You
except
mean the internet where you
Yeah.
scroll and it goes down? Okay. All right.
that and it's just these random things about like smoking and like why your mind wanders when you're half awake.
Okay.
And UFOs and dogs
Wow,
and
good
Richard
range.
Branson and everything, basically.
Stephen
everything.
Hawking to dogs pretty much
Yeah.
covers everything.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the app called again?
It's called Curiosity,
And it's
spelled
a-
as it is. Yeah.
And it's available both on Android and
Yes.
Apple?
Yes.
All right.
And it's a
Okay.
free app.
It's a free app.
Yep.
Nice. That brings me to my recommendation. I am recommending a film. The film I'm recommending is a film that made some waves last year. It's called I, Tonya, spelled as I, Tonya, about Tonya Harding, the figure skater. Do you guys know who Tonya Harding is, guys?
Yeah, she's a figure skater.
Not
whose
from what I
husband-
told you right
whose
now.
husband? No, whose husband? Whose husband? Some scandal happened with her, and she was like defamed, infamous.
Yeah, she basically
Something like
in
that.
the Olympics she took out her opponent before the event took place, and this grabbed the headlines. This happened in the 90s. Why I love the movie is that the film is told from a first person narration. So Margot Robbie plays Tonya Harding and she's narrating the movie, but it's not a very typical narration. She breaks the fourth wall and talks to us, and the film is shot in a mockumentary style, like The Office or Parks and Rec or Modern Family, so many other shows where the characters talk to the camera as if they were real. Wow, Gaurav, you're very excited about this. Does the level go up like with the next fact I say?
Let's see.
So Alison Janney plays Tonya Harding's mother. So we followed Tonya from when she was a kid to when she actually became the person that she is now. And she had a very abusive mother. She used to put a lot of pressure on her kid to do well. It's like a mother from hell, but she plays it so well. Alison Janney, who of course won the Oscar for the role, plays it very, very well, and she's like the standout from the movie. And it reminded me of some of the early Martin Scorsese films. Like the movie is constantly on high alert. There's never a dull moment, and I love the use of the music in the film. Also, it tries to question the fact how whenever a sports person or a celebrity gets involved in a scandal, the public opinion instantly falls about that celebrity in an instant. So this kind of doesn't defend that, but kind of shows her side of the story, that she has had her problems in the past which led her to believe that if she doesn't win, everything will be over, and that's her side of the story. So very interesting movie, very funny movie, also a very hard-hitting movie. There are some pretty violent scenes in the movie, but I think they are required. All the performances are really extraordinary. It's directed by Craig Gillespie. It's his debut film, but very entertaining movie. That's my recommendation. I, Tonya, check it out. So those were our recommendations, but we also have a guest recommendations from one of our hosts of the Simplified podcast, which is Shriketh. So let's listen in to what Shriketh had to recommend.
Hi, this is Shriketh from Simplified, and what I'd like to recommend for IVM Likes is a podcast which is called The Way I Heard It by Micro. It is unlike Simplified, which even the shorty editions are at least around 10 to 12 minutes. Every episode of The Way I Heard It is no more than 6 to 7 minutes, and all Micro does in the podcast is tell one story, a story that revolves around. It's almost opens in a general exposition that where he tries to tell a story of a regular Joe guy who's doing a particular thing, and he evolves that story with a lot of suspense, and then finally does the big reveal of saying that this particular person is historically significant in one way or the other. And so it's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful way, this thing, and it's a great way to get introduced to this entire art of podcasts altogether. So if you ever have friends who you want to try and get them hooked onto podcasts, The Way I Heard It is a great gateway drug to kind of like get people into podcasts and then get them begging for more. So The Way I Heard It by Micro is what I'd recommend for IVM Likes.
That was Shriketh's recommendation. On that, we're going to take a small break. On the other side of this break, we're going to talk about streaming services, what's good about them, what's bad about them, and how would life be if streaming services stopped streaming tomorrow. See you on the other side of this break.
Hi, I'm Amit Verma, the host of the weekly podcast The Seen and the Unseen. In my show, I examine the seen effects and the unintended consequences of public policy and private action. I show how policies meant to help the poor often end up hurting the poor. I show how good intentions can lead to bad outcomes. I've had guests like Jayaprakash Narayan, Shruti Rajgopalan, Alex Tabarrok, Shikha Dalmia and Vivek Kaul on this show. And we've covered subjects from politics, economics, foreign policy to even parenting.
Catch the show every Monday on the IVM podcast app or any other podcasting app that you prefer. Or visit seenunseen.in for all the latest updates. We're back from the break, and on this discussion round, we're going to talk about streaming services. They're almost become an integral part of our lives. Half or more than half of the things that we recommend here on this show are available on streaming websites, and we always tell you where you can check them out, be it Netflix, Amazon, Hotstar, or all the various other streaming platforms. So we're going to talk a little bit about the pros of streaming websites, the cons of streaming websites, and what would life be if streaming websites just took their bag home and left us in the middle of nowhere. Isn't that a really dark future, guys?
I mean, we'll survive, right? I mean, we have before.
Will we? But before we get to that, tell me some pros and cons that you guys feel of streaming websites. Because
how many marks is this answer for?
This is for 5 marks, but I'll cut 3 because you're Gaurav. So,
so I mean,
I should actually ask you this question because you're on your phone streaming something or other every day.
Most of us are, yeah.
Most of us are, but you more than others, because I've seen you like stream stuff on your laptop, your phone.
I agree.
When you're eating, when you're smoking, when you're just walking on the
while
road.
having lunch.
While having lunch.
That is eating.
We were in, but
that is eating.
No, as in we were in the lunchroom and today, and I was sitting next to Gaurav, and he's just watching things on his Mac, and I'm sitting there awkwardly like, okay, fine.
So when did your streaming addiction start, and how has it changed your life?
Streaming addiction. Hi, I'm Gaurav and I'm an addict. So I think my streaming addiction started when I first went to Boston for the first time. And when I was there, Netflix wasn't anywhere else in the world. It was only there in Boston.
Right.
So when I figured out that I did not have to get off my bed to change the episode, game changer, life changer.
Right.
You know, the number of hours I lost just to save a few seconds. I mean, it's crazy. So, I mean, I thought it was just so damn convenient that whatever I wanted to watch at any time, it was available to me, you know, at my fingertips. And another problem that I always used to have is, at that time, any kind of video you want to watch or anything, it's mostly going to be paid content. Like movies, TV shows, you either have to get a DVD or a VCD, Blu-ray, whatever it is. Or even online, if you're if you're going to shop for it, you're going to pay for it. You know, the rental charge or whatever. So paying a subscription fee, it was like going to a buffet and like doing paisa vasool. And I think that's how the binge culture started. The whole paisa vasool thing. Like, you know, you're paying this much, might as well get that much worth. And before, it was very easy to quantify how much you're getting worth, how much quantity you're getting.
Like you pay $300 for something. And
Yeah,
then it was
and
like,
you know, like in $300, how many movies I can buy. Today, nobody buys movies or anything. So obviously, the value is maybe, like, I mean, like if you pay $10 subscription per month, you know what you're getting, because if you go out to rent a movie, it's either like between $1 to $5 a movie rental. So, you know, you can really know how much
talk in
value
rupees.
you're getting.
Keep your first world currency to yourself. All right, Jaanam, what about you? Like,
I actually have a question for Gaurav. Have you used VCRs?
No. I don't
really?
even know the full form of that.
I kind of guessed that, because when he was listing DVD, VCD and Blu-ray, there was no VCR mention in that. So yeah, he's from another generation clearly. But yeah, like before streaming sites started, I remember watching most of my movies on VCR, in fact.
Right.
And yeah, then I shifted to CDs. And
So for you, it's a boon that now,
Yeah,
like you said, you don't
definitely.
even need to use a remote or get up from your chair to change the DVD. You just have to
Yeah.
click on the next episode, and there it is.
And just the fact that you can watch anything anywhere right now. I'm these days on my commute back to work, I am binging on shows. So
I actually have a con to most of what you spoke about were pros, right? I think since streaming has come in, I think our the level of our taste has actually come down a bit, because everything is so easy to watch. We kind of sort of overrate shows that are just about average to really great, because they're all there to see at once.
So we have become media
in
gluttons.
a way, yes.
In a way, yeah,
Media
I can say
gluttons.
that.
Yes, but I still feel we are somewhere choosy about what we still watch. It's not like I would watch anything.
But obviously we're consuming a lot more than we used to. When you had to wait an entire week for an episode of a show, they had to make it good, because like the audience has waited an entire week for this.
Oh, come
So
on.
we
Come on.
rather-
They still release it on a weekly basis.
They do,
Now,
but
the older
obviously-
ones, obviously, they've already been released. You can't say that today's TV shows have a worse quality than the ones of 10 years or 20 years ago.
See, visually and technically they're great, but I think story-wise, I'm not saying they're bad. I just think we overrate many shows just because we consume them.
Black Mirror, Breaking Bad, Game
Sure,
of
you
Thrones.
can.
I mean, the storylines...
Game of Thrones again is a weekly show. Breaking Bad was a weekly show. None of these are.
But right
none
now
of
you
these-
can binge watch them on
You
Netflix.
can, sure.
Right?
I'm not saying. Anyway, that's a different podcast which we will take on some other day. But I want to ask you guys. So, if tomorrow Netflix and Amazon, a law is passed the world over, you can't binge anymore. You can't. Streaming websites have to be shut,
Including YouTube?
including YouTube. Let's go there. Let's do that.
That would also include Facebook in a way, because
Sure, let's put in Facebook there as well. Would you feel withdrawal symptoms instantly, because we're so used to binging things and streaming things?
yeah.
You'd have to actually research and go out and find something.
I mean, I think more than withdrawal symptoms, I think I'd finally realize like what a rock I'm living under. Like in the sense that I wouldn't be up
What are
to-
these outdoors? What is this sun?
No. What I mean is that I don't think I would be as caught up with everyone else, because I'm a person who doesn't make as much effort to be like to know what is the in thing. You
No,
know,
but isn't that count? Wouldn't you be forced more to go out and socialize now that you can't sit at home and just
no, that's
sit
my
in front of the
nature.
computer?
That's my nature. I won't do it. I won't go only. No, what I mean is,
What would you do at home? Streaming services are banned.
So no, that's why I'll go out and whatever. But when I go out and, for example, I meet you and you'll be like, "Have you watched this movie?" I'll be like,
But
"No."
I also haven't watched it because streaming, I'm not
But
that
that's not
accessible.
the only way of getting it, right? You can get a DVD. You can
Sure,
still binge
that's-
watch with DVDs.
So
VCDs.
do you think the going back to that form of life would be easy again?
It wouldn't be easy, but it wasn't easy back then either. It's
But
not
that was the only way. We didn't
exactly.
know.
It was the only way. So if you don't have any choice, you know,
So you'll
do what you got to do, right?
What about you, Jaanam? Jaanam is still in the shock of
Not
imagining
having-
a world.
Yeah. I'm just trying to picture how life was before all this
Exactly.
started. And
Yeah, that's a strange
it's-
thing. Now we can't even imagine.
I think there would definitely be more human interaction between people, and like I remember maybe just coming together as a family and watching things on a VCR, for example.
If
That
you can
would
find
be-
VCRs.
Yeah.
In
No,
this.
but I mean, if this is all banned, all businesses are going to be revitalized.
No, let's say the analog way of doing things is still in practice. But
Exactly. So they'll all be revitalized in the sense there'll be
Okay.
a boom in them, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
If these are not there, like VCDs, DVDs, Blu-rays.
So I actually have if I can play devil's advocate, you said there'll be more human interaction. Don't you think that because everything is so accessible to watch and consume, we interact more with people because we have more things to talk about? Let's say a Game of Thrones episode drops. More people will have a shared experience because they all saw that episode.
Just
Yeah,
because you
yeah.
have a
If you
shared
look at it,
experience doesn't
yeah.
mean there's more
If-
human interaction.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly what Gaurav's saying.
Are you
And
two agreeing?
kind of. And
Okay.
also, like, so no, I'm talking about the act of watching something. Once you watched it, obviously you discuss it, whatever.
Right.
But when you're watching it, it's more of a personal experience. Like I'm not interacting with any, like, my co-passenger or whatever.
Right.
I'm not. When I'm at home, I'm shut off. I'm like, get out of my room. I want to watch this. So
You'll be more in the
Yeah.
moment.
Get
and-
out of my
Yeah.
room, I want to watch this. What? Okay.
yeah, because like people come in the room and they're like talking over dialogues and it's unnecessary and
But
unwanted.
as I remember it, watching a movie in the olden days before streaming, it was actually a event, like I'd call my friends over and be like, hey
Yeah,
guys, I
and
bought
you-
this DVD.
and you
We
make
can all watch
popcorn
it.
and,
yeah.
like, it's-
I mean, I still can make popcorn.
yeah,
I mean,
that's one of the things I meant when I said that human interaction will go up if we go back to the old
because
school.
it'll become an event again. It'll be
Yeah.
a group activity rather than
Yeah.
A solo
you-
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
solo thing.
All right, so moral of the story is streaming should be banned and we should all go back to the olden days of doing.
I don't support that.
The olden days of doing.
Yes. Okay, so those were our opinions about what we think of streaming websites. As you can see, we are so dependent on them that our lives have pretty much changed in the last 4 or 5 years, and that's how much we are dependent on streaming websites. But hey, if they're there, we're going to consume them. So that was our episode this week of IVM Likes. My name is Abbas. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. On Twitter, I'm at Abbas Momin. On Instagram, you can find me at Abbas Momin88. Gaurav, where can one find you on social media?
I'm on Instagram at aya_G.
And Jaanam?
I'm on Twitter as @Jaanam Devan.
All right. You can also follow IVM Podcasts on social media. We are IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Do follow us. Do keep up with our other shows. And we shall see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
As you can see, we have a podcast listener in his natural habitat. Billions of years of evolution have led him to this point. He's on his way to work, and listening to podcasts makes his miserable day better. He will now head to work and use all his knowledge to communicate with other colleagues and possibly future mates. You can find more of his species on ivmpodcasts.com, your one-stop destination where you can check out all the coolest Indian podcasts. Happy listening.